Hi, Dad.
Hey, good morning. Buenos dias.
Good to see you there, and good morning to our relatives out in the
Oh,
world. Thank you for joining us today. Um, it is always a gift to be here. So thank you for the gift of our breath. Thank you for the gift of our life. Thank you for the technology that allows us to be together, even when we're not physically together in person, and to be able to share the gifts of our life, this moment, and some of the wisdom that you carry, Dad, and the wisdom that you've been gifted and built and earned, developed. So, would you start us off with a morning prayer, please?
well, great source, all those gifts that you just mentioned life, breath, and family, ancestors, and ancestor spirits of the land we live on. We remember you here, and source of all. You who've been always, will be always, creator, great mystery, Wahantanka, Holy Mother, Father, God, Tao, all the names. And we come up with, you're the source of all. Thank you for right now and the gift of our awareness through the breath of life. The opportunity of this day to make conscious choice about what we want to put our attention into, what we want to hold as an intention to put our attention into, remembering that what we put our attention into creates our experience. So putting our attention into opening our awareness to love's presence, to your presence, great mystery within us, everyone, everywhere, all the time. Help us to polish up our stardust with the practices that work for us and our individuality and uniqueness, to wake up, wise up, and live love now, for walking the heart path to completion. Healing of the sacred hoop. May it be so. Oh, right.
Oh, may it be so. We've got some folks in the chat sending love our way, and we send it right back to you. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So we got an email from Sean asking if we could talk a little bit about navigating conflict, and that's always a subject with lots of rich, juicy opportunities to work on, because there is no shortage of conflict in life, in our own minds, in our own hearts, in our intimate relationships, in our political sphere, global sphere. So certainly lots to talk about there. Um, and one of our goals with Shamanic Sundays is to bring through the shamanic principles and shamanic teachings in practical ways. And for me, a lot of that goes back to nature's wisdom, because from what I understand, a lot of shamanic tradition is really based on the ancient knowledge and wisdom and design principles of Mother Nature. So, anything you want to say on that before I keep going?
A run, keep going. Let it keep going till it reaches
Okay.
shore.
Okay, I'm just making sure. So I was thinking one of the most kind of like volatile, uh, kind of violent things that we see in nature is major fires, right? And here in California, I mean, fortunately, right now we're, knock on wood, doing pretty good, but certainly we see some pretty intense fires, and then the aftermath of that is this beautiful regeneration. If nature is just left on its own, and that after a fire, it the charcoal of what was burned starts to go down back into the earth and create a richer soil from which things can grow. And there's no blame around. I mean, as humans, when humans get involved and start the fires, of course, we look to that and try to hold people accountable to that. Um, but nature just goes, okay, here we are. How are we going to move forward now, right? So then that made me think of my understanding of a lot of indigenous perspective on navigating conflict is around like restorative justice. So it's not like again, like a full blame. It's more like, how are we going to look at the system and bring back peace into the system? Is that accurate from your understanding and experience?
Yeah, it's interesting you bring that up, because I have a good friend who's a therapist who 10 years ago or so stepped over a line in terms of he didn't abuse anyone on the physical plane, but he did step over a line in terms of a relationship with and which caused anxiety, and then she complained, and the board suspended, and he's waiting to hear this or ability restored or not. And he's noticing that his clients of his and people he knows hears the news of what happened to him. People are deserting him, like people he's worked with for years, and are very thankful for the help he's given to them over the years. He made one mistake, and so there's people deserting the ship like rats on a sinking ship. It's like punishment. It's all punishment, and it's like the goal is, let's punish this person for their transgression, and that's it. Just banish them, exclude them. They're out. And that know that the shamanic knowledge and shamanic science comes from the understanding of how we're all connected, and we all need to work cooperatively together. So if someone acts in a way that's not with the greater tribe of the community, they're out of balance. And so the goal is not just to punish them and make them wrong and shame them and beat them up and throw them out, but instead is what steps need to be taken to restore this person who lost their way. They fell asleep, they lost their way. So beating the shit out of them, throwing them into jail, for a life sentence, and banning them forever, whatever. There's no healing in that. There's just more separation, and it's based on the perception of separation. Well, if we banish this person, then it's out of sight, out of mind. And it's not addressing the fact that old saying, if you live in a glass house, don't throw bricks. And is there one of us walking around on this earth? Is there one of us two-legged that have not, quote unquote, sinned or transgressed or done the wrong thing or a hurtful thing to another? I know very well my house is totally glass, so I've got no basis to make a judgment about anything, about anybody. And one of the values of going through the 4 years of my shadow possession as a teenager, when my grief came out with anger and self-destructive and antisocial behaviors, I don't have any doubts that, that within my humanness is the capability under the right stimulus to do anything, and horrible things. That's potential I know is inside of me, and I don't think I'm the Lone Ranger. I know about it from experience because I did terrible things during those 4 years. So there's no illusion of, I could never do that. So in recognition of all of the truth that all of us live in glass houses, when for healing is what's needed is compassion. The act, whatever act it might have been, there's consequences that they need to come from the act to address it. But the purpose is not just to punish, but to restore balance, to bring that person back into a conscious understanding, connection with the group, and what needs to be done, both to and with that person and for that person, what that person needs to do with the goal of restoring harmony and balance. Because punishing doesn't restore harmony and balance. It just, like I said, it contributes to more separation. And it also denies those of us who don't think we live in glass houses the stimulus to do our own inner work, to face those forces inside of us that we all have in one way or another that can lead to, under the right stimulus, our acting in a way that's hurtful to others. So I'm very thankful for the differentiation that I learned about from indigenous elders about the purpose when someone commits a sin, or whatever way you want to frame it, is the recognition. It's not that they're a bad person, but whatever's going on inside of their dynamics led to them to that behavior. So try to understand the causative factors of that behavior that led to the hurtful behavior that ultimately is hurtful to themselves, bringing down consequences from our culture, which are just punishment. So waking up shamanic wisdom, indigenous wisdom ways to the recognition of how we're all interconnected. We all have within us the potential for every potential from A to Z as a human being is in us. And what gets activated depends upon the wounds of our lives and the triggers, stimulus that activates the stories that were conditioned by those wounds, who we are, what reality is. If I'm hurt by somebody, then hurt them back twice as bad. That's punishment. Culture consciousness versus recognizing what we do to another, we do to ourselves. And so if I hurt someone else, then I need to make amends for that. I need to take responsibility for what I did, and what is it that I need to do to make amends to that person or people or place or animal or land or ocean or ancestors or whatever it might be, to restore the balance. And that's how the sacred hoop is healed, by restoring harmony and balance, right relationship with all our relations. That's the goal. That's what needs to happen to heal, to restore the healthy functioning of our community, in which everybody is granted what they need by creating a win-win world for all, as compared to it's just me, meet my needs, me, mine, based on the perception of separation. So that's what three cheers for restorative justice on all levels, not just people placing ourselves or others in prisons with punishment and beating down, but the recognition of, if we want true healing, then we have to work toward restoration of harmony and balance, with understanding, compassion with the forces that led to the hurtful behavior, and how to address it in a way that truly does heal the sacred hoop. Oh,
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Can you, do you have any like a piece of fabric or something that you could use to try to wipe your camera? You're looking a little fuzzy, and I don't think that's
because I am a little fuzzy.
I knew you were going to say that. Shoot, no, that's even worse. Do you have anything
it's even
other
worse?
Yeah.
There's
Do you have
spit on that thing. I don't know what to do. Let's just accept fuzziness. Fuzzy.
You don't have like, can you use like,
have what?
There's no you don't have any like fabric that you could try to use?
I can take my shirt off and use that.
I don't know if we should go there on this day, but
well, let me see if I can reach my shirt there. I don't.
Okay, everybody, close your eyes for a second. Just kidding.
Yeah, let's just accept that's the coyote, coyote doing its thing and keep going forward. Coyote tries to knock us off course, and we give it power, then we get knocked off course. So there it is, and it's not who we are, and let's keep going.
Okay. All right. We're just going to go with it. You're a little fuzzy today.
Welcome fuzziness.
Welcome fuzziness. So, so as you were speaking, I was thinking one of the things that I think in Western consciousness gets us stuck in a loop that prevents us moving forward toward healing, healthy function, and restored balance, is our notion of being right being more important than being at peace. And I don't remember, someone as I was growing up, may have been you or mom, or who knows where I heard it, but like the question of when you're in conflict, like, do you want to feel peace or do you want to feel right? And I think that's always an interesting one, because when I have had, moments of conflict in personal relationships, work relationships, I ask myself that, do I want to feel peace or do I want to feel right? And sometimes I'm like, I want to feel right, Sure. So then I have to like work through that. Like, what is right going to get me versus peace going to get me, right?
Ego also always wants to feel right, because it believes it is right.
Yeah, yeah. So, so I'm wondering if you could share a couple of tools, like when you get stuck in the I want to be right versus I want to feel at peace mode.
Yeah, sure. First of all, that saying comes from attitudinal healing. Jerry Jampolsky brought that forth from the Course of Miracles. And if we want to be right, if we're experiencing want to be right in a conflict, then it's very helpful to recognize what part of me wants to feel right. Well, that's my ego. That's my ego. And that ego is based on perceptions of separation. And if I'm fighting to be right, if I give my power to ego to run the show, to use all its resources to prove that I'm right, that means I'm making the other person wrong. And therefore planting the seeds of more separation, more conflict. Because even if I win the argument that I'm right, the other person automatically feels defeated in their beingness, because now they're wrong. So if I want suffering, more suffering in my life, when I notice in conflict, my ego is trying to take control and prove itself right, then just let it keep running. And it's going to create more suffering for myself, even if I quote unquote win the argument. So making a conscious choice about what I want to experience in the moment, remembering the truth that the only time I can ever experience whatever I want to experience is right now. No guarantee when this breath leaves, there'll be another one. So here comes that wave of life force flowing into our mouths from the universe with that question, what do you want to experience here? What do you want to co-create with this life energy I give you to experience in your life, your body, your mind, your feelings right now of being alive? And it's free choice for you. No such thing as a wrong choice, but let's be straight that you're going to experience the consequence of whatever choice you make. So why not make it a conscious choice? And why not make it a conscious choice to open awareness, the bandwidths of awareness, to recognize and understand and live from the truth of our interconnectedness. And the essence of our being is infinite, unconditional light and love. And we have the potential in any given moment of being alive to experience joy, deep joy inside of ourselves, gratitude of being alive. It's an attitude of gratitude, being alive. And whatever the gifts of our lives are, being present in our awareness to recognize them, make a good home for them, experience them, and give thanks for them. So that expression, would you rather be right or would you rather experience peace of mind and peace of being? It's a powerful tool to pick up out of your tool belt when you're in conflict, and you can feel all the energies that are triggered by the stimuli, whatever the person said or did, that are activating your they're wrong, I'm right, and I've got to pick up whatever sledgehammer I need to be able to bludgeon them into understanding how I'm right and they're wrong. That's a choice for pain and suffering. And if we feel we've had enough pain and suffering in our lives in this moment, we can choose again. And we can choose again to open our awareness to love's presence, to peace's presence. There's deep inner peace at the center of our being, as there's light and love at the center of our being as luminous beings, all through grace. We don't have to create it. It's our bodies are made of stardust, of the light of stardust, and our lives are fueled by stardust, helping us to polish up when we open to it with awareness, polish ourselves up and wake up, wise up, and porque, what? Live love now. That's the opportunity of being alive. So instead of being right, trying to fight to be right in a situation, let me open my heart and let me try to understand what the needs are of the other person, what my needs are and what the needs are of the other person. Because when we're in conflict, we're feeling our needs aren't being met, or we're feeling frightened that our needs aren't being met. And so we're revving up to make sure our needs are met. And to create if we hold an intention of creating a win-win solution to the conflict, and the only real healing is when it's a win-win for both of us. Because if one of us feels we didn't get our needs met by the quote-unquote solving of the conflict, then there's, if not consciously, unconsciously, there's going to be resentment and bitterness and anger and all kinds of negative feelings about that are eventually going to erupt in some way. So if we want true healing in a conflict, peaceful resolution of a conflict, And I have to really know what my needs are, and I have to make the effort to try to understand what the other person's needs are, and then see if we can create an intention given our needs. How might we be able to create a win-win situation? Maybe neither one of us will get everything our ego wants, but it is possible for us to create a win-win solution, healing, resolution of the conflict if we hold that as an intention. And even if the other person doesn't hold it, because they won't always will hold that. But if you hold it, if I hold that as an intention, then I can try to understand what are the needs that the other person has that aren't being met, that's leading behavior that triggers this conflict. And what is it? What acts of earlier wounds are being triggered by that I'm ready to go to war to prove my ego is right. Wonderful saying. Do I want to win, or do I want to open my awareness, the anxious conflict, to experience what lives in the center of deep inner peace, infinite, and then it's the person with compassion to try to understand their needs and activate our shared creativity to find and create and develop a win-win solution, which is always possible. Whew, mercy, got me going.
Woo. Yeah. So just to recap on that, because your audio is a little off today. You're not just fuzzy. I think it's your connection a little bit. So we are bringing up the Jerry Jampolsky quote around, when you're in conflict or presented with conflict, feeling conflicted, asking yourself if you want to be at peace or you want to be right. And then our Western perspective often getting stuck in the right versus peace. And there's always extreme, like what ifs, like one of our relatives just put in the chat, what if conflict is with a person who's bipolar and attacks without provocation, right? What if you're Israel and it's Hamas? What if you're Palestinian and it's the Israelis? What if it's, soldiers in Congo or Sudan, or, there's always extremes to this. So we're certainly not going to solve it all here today, but we can, bring it always back home to how we can respond, and then how that can ripple out into the world. And from what you were saying, there was one phrase you used that I think is so important to remember when we do feel conflict, is like, what do you need? Like, what do you need right now? So like, I imagine myself in some of my past conflicts, like if I could have in that moment just like, whew, okay, and what do you need?
Yeah, by the way, next, some of you listening are also part of the Live Love Now group, and the next, which meets monthly live. And so the next one in September, it's usually the first Wednesday in September. It's going to be the 25th of September, because I'm going to be traveling a lot in the first couple of weeks of September. And it's going to be on nonviolent communication. I'm going to have two guests who are going to be sharing their experiences and the skills of Marshall Rosenberg's nonviolent communication, which are incredible tools to learn how to be more consciously aware of how we're communicating. Are we communicating violently, or are we communicating in a way that opens the doorway for healing? So just going back to those situations with, somebody who's mentally ill with whatever diagnosis and attacking us, or what's happening in Gaza, Sudan, or Ukraine or Russia, or wherever there's physical violence or any kind of violence being perpetrated on us, then what is that violence triggering in me? What's being triggered inside of me by the attacks, if it's toward me personally or for the innocents in different places around the world? What is that triggering inside of me? And that's the raw material for me to work on in the situation, the stimulus of that violent situation, of the attack. What's it triggering inside of me? Whatever that is. And what do I need? work with, to come back to a place of inner peace inside of me. So many teachers of spiritual traditions and wisdom traditions say ultimately we're working on our own consciousness. So it's my response to the violence and the attack to judge, to counterattack, to make wrong, to beat up. Of course, protect ourselves. Ram Dass said, do whatever you need to do to protect yourself, but don't put the other person's being out of your heart. Try to understand what's going on for them that leads to that attacking behavior. And with compassion, try to send healing light and love to that person. Don't be attached to the purpose of your doing that is to change them, but that's going to help you transform your consciousness from an agitated state to accessing your inner peace inside of you. And the reason, a larger framework of understanding is the coyote creates all kinds of situations like the fuzziness here with the communication or whatever it is. Whatever's happening, it's not by accident. That in the great mystery of how things work, it's a vehicle of opportunity where the button's being pushed to look at and go deeper. What's happening inside of me that I'm creating a story and a response to this that's creating pain and suffering for myself. And how can I use this as an opportunity to wake up, wise up, remember this moment's the only time I can have for experiencing whatever I want to have. And even under this attack or whatever it is possible underneath all of that, the storm waves on the surface of the ocean, there's deep peace and deep calm and healing light and love. And the more I can access that while attack's taking place, doing what I need to do to take care of myself on my inner plane, I can be at peace and sending healing light and love out to that person. Another understanding from attitudinal healing is given the essence of our being is infinite light and love. In any given moment, we're either experiencing it, and if we're experiencing it, then there's kindness, there's joy, there's happiness, there's health, there's well-being. And if we're not in touch with the truth of our being, infinite light, infinite love, then we're asking for it. And we're frightened. We're asking for it. And violence coming from another is an unskillful way, to say the least, of asking for love, I'm feeling insecure. I'm feeling not respected. I'm hurting. I'm in pain. And I haven't learned any other way to ask for love, for loving kindness, connection, to help me feel secure, except to attack. So what's going to help that person's fear and anxiety? More attack, judgment, blame, punishment? No. What's going to open the door to potential for healing is if they're experiencing, as they're attacking, there's a healing light and love flowing back from us into that person. And if it doesn't make any change in the moment, it just plants a seed, even into the unconscious of, and you too you're being loved right now in your being, not your behavior. But I'm sending you light and love for your being, and you're lovable. You are lovable, and you are love. And this light, love energy I'm sending you helps polish up the awareness of the seeds inside of you to grow light and love, because you are love, and you are loved right now. And it's not words, it's energy. It's literal truth energy flowing into that person. So for me to, when I'm feeling attacked, my ego's feeling attacked, for me to get to this place, I've got to work on what's the story I'm telling myself about the stimulus that's creating my pain and my suffering. Go to it, pull the plug on it, transform, replace with waking up, come back home base, light and love, be a channel for it out into the world for healing of the sacred hoop. May it be so. All right.
Oh, thank you. So
fuzziness and all.
Fuzziness at all. It always comes back to remembering the love that we are, and enabling us to see the other person or people that we're in relationship with a light of love too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope. And in that, I think, one of the principles in navigating conflict that's really important is you want to create space, like emergent space, for the new energy to come in, right? For that healing of this, the conflict of each other's hearts and hurts, and restoring the balance. So, is there anything else you want to add for us to tools or visualizations as we move into the week ahead, and things that we may feel are creating a violent response in our own hearts or minds or actions or judgments?
Let's imagine, go inside and imagine you're lighting a candle. Maybe you're in a dark room. You're in the darkness of fear, anxiety, judgment, anger, blame, uh, frightened, whatever it might be, the expression of darkness that you're experiencing and suffering. So imagine you're in a dark room with all of that suffering. It's painful, hurtful. I'm scared. I'm frightened, angry. I'm sad. I'm feeling disconnected, despair, depressed. And all of a sudden, you're handed a candle. You feel something putting a candle in your one hand and a lighter in the other hand, and you flick that lighter and you light the candle. You light the candle, and all of a sudden, the power of light to cut through darkness is manifest in your space. And that candlelight, the photons of light coming from that candle, which is basically shape-shifted stardust from Father Sun, from a star coming to Mother Earth. It's vibrating light energy, vibrations of light energy we call photons. And you're seeing those, and you're letting your eyes go soft, and you're seeing those beams of light flow into you, dissolving knots of tension, tightness, and constriction, releasing, letting go, warm, healing flow from the light coming into you. And that light is conscious. It's a manifestation of the creative wisdom power of the universe flowing into you through that light. It comes from a star to Mother Earth, flows into you. And it's singing a song. I'm sending you light to help you remember. I'm sending you light to hold you in love. I'm sending you light to help you remember. I'm sending you light to guide your way home. Love is the answer. Love is the key. Love is the healer. Let love flow through thee. Let love flow, Yahweh. Thank you to that light flowing into you. Anytime you need a hit, a reminder that you are loved, that there's healing light and love available to you to take in and polish up your stardust to help you reconnect with the light and love that you are. All you have to do is light a candle. Take in that light. If you're not in a place or time, you're driving in your car, you're in a meeting, you're in an interaction with someone at the counter, at the store, you can't light a candle. Take a moment, a billionth of a second, and just go right inside. You can even do it with your eyes open and light the candle, take in that light, and remember, it's sending you light to help you remember, to hold you in love. Oh,
Thank you. That is a beautiful way to end this week's Shamanic Sundays. I love that. So thank you, Poppy, Dad, and thank you all. And just reminding everyone, I just have this vision of everyone walking around this coming week with the little candle, right, holding it right over your heart or in your heart, and you can light it anytime you need to and bring in that light and love.
oh, Brios, good one.
Okay. Good tears, good loving, good breathing and living, and being purveyors of peace as you navigate the coming week.
Vaya con Dios.
All right, take care, everyone. See you next week. Oh, remember to like, follow, subscribe. I have to get this in my head to remind everyone to do that every week. And thank you for helping support us getting the word out and sharing the teachings that we're offering each week here.
Oh, thank you.